Hello, friends, and welcome to my bold predictions, where I hope to provide you with an overview of where we're at and some insight as to what to expect in the coming months to up to a year in this market. I'd like to review three things with you today because let's face it, that's what most of us can remember. 1, the real state of real estate. What is happening out there and why is it happening? Number 2, what's up with the interest rates? We can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm fairly certain we are not going to get run over by a train. 3, what is the opportunity out there in this market? Yes, my glass is half full. And for those of you who know me well, it always will be, because frankly, this market has opportunity written all over it. And don't for a second think that I'm not taking advantage of that with all of my clients that are out there in the trenches right now. So let's roll up our sleeves and get started. 1, the real state of real estate. Friends, the number one question I get asked wherever I go these days is, hey, Katrina, what's going on with the market? Many are struggling with this new market, and yet it's not what it seems. It's really not that difficult to explain. You see, it's not so much that the information is inconsistent, it's rather that the way in which it's being presented is inconsistent. It's either misinformation, or worse yet, it's outright false. You have heard me say many times, and I will continue to say it, numbers don't lie. But alas, where do we get our information from? The media. But what is the media today? Is it social media as a broad medium? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? What do we trust, and how can we trust them? And the answer is, I don't know. I certainly don't trust most of it. I do know where I get my information from, and that's from you, from living and working in the trenches every single day. The day-to-day efforts of listening to my buyers and my sellers. And of course, I rely on the very best economists in the business for my information. Fear. The word of the day is fear. That's right. Fear and uncertainty, and it lies at the very root of the state of the market. You see, the media is confused. What they are reporting is inconsistent and conflicting and sensationalized, and frankly, largely negative. I mean, after all, negative sells, right? If every article was sunshine and lollipops, no one would pay attention. And add to that, agents are confused. The average realtor in Ottawa last year sold 3.9 homes, and that number is falling so far in 2023. The amount of new realtors in Ottawa is over 50% since the start of COVID. Most are a younger demographic who are getting their news from social media. Just because you read it online doesn't mean it's true. More people are working from home and remotely, largely disconnected from the world and solely relying on social media as their go-to source. Let's understand, humans are predisposed to herd mentality, which suggests two types. Herd as in cattle, but also herd as in I heard it on the news, so it must be true. Either way, it's a slippery slope, and it doesn't always end well for those who follow. Many of us are comparing our behind the scenes reel to everyone else's highlight reels. I love this business more today than I did when I first started. Why? Because it's not about the negative. It's not about the deals. It's about you. It's about impacting and improving your lives. You are the people that I am blessed to serve you with integrity, perseverance, and a grateful heart. This is a matter of basic economics, and it's no coincidence. It's called a law. That's right, just like law of gravity. What goes up must come down. The law of the harvest. We reap what we sow. Well, this is the law of supply and demand. Limited supply, increased demand, prices will always continue to rise. Yes, the feverish pace of buyers has cooled, but I think we can agree it needed to. The fear of missing out from COVID buyers feeling like if they didn't get in, they would never get in. Cheap money caused some buyers to become, quite frankly, irresponsible. Most uneducated buyers continue to chase the same unicorn that they have been chasing for 3 years now. So yes, there is indeed still some bidding wars happening out there, albeit they are fewer and most are not selling way over asking price. In fact, some are actually selling below asking price. They are largely confined to specific areas and specific price points. And above all, there are homes that are considered move-in ready, turnkey condition. And to the sellers out there, it's their turn to feel FOMO, fear that they missed out on the selling craziness of COVID. If you're following the market, you will see firsthand, stuff is either selling quickly or sitting. And if it's sitting, why? Because the realtor either couldn't or didn't have the courage to have the difficult conversations that their home is no longer worth what it was a couple of years ago. And here's the important facts to consider. There is a housing shortage in Canada-wide, and it is suggested that we will face this inventory shortage until 2030. Between immigration, in-migration, and refugees, Ottawa is experiencing more demand than it can handle, and new home sales have fallen off significantly. Days on market. Since COVID, a new normal was created, and that normal was watching properties sell in 7 minutes, never mind 7 days or 7 weeks. Yet historically, the average days on market was 90 days on market. We came from a time when it was not unheard of to have a home listed for 7 months. The average days on market for 2022 was 32 days. We saw that number creep up early in 2023. However, it has once again dipped below. New listings in Ontario are at a 20-year low. The average Canadian has a credit score of above 700. Mortgage delinquencies are also at an all-time low. And we haven't even talked about the impact of boomers gifting their children money. The conclusion? This market is alive and well. Number 2, and what's up with these interest rates? It's easy to become dismayed at interest rates. However, historically speaking, these interest rates are still considered to be very low. Some of us have seen 12, 15, and 18% interest rates. Yes, I appreciate that homes were $150,000, but we were also only making $30,000 a year. Many homes were single income homes, where today many are double income homes and healthy incomes at that. Homeowners of today also have a debt tolerance higher than any generation before. The truth is, we experienced emergency measures with cheap money as a result of COVID. We knew it couldn't and wouldn't be able to be sustained. Last year's market was a runaway train, and we could not slow it down. The only way we could stop it was to completely derail it, and the Bank of Canada did just that. With 2 sharp increases in April and then again in June, the market came to a grinding halt. And yet we got through that with the market surging again in 2023. The Bank of Canada had to increase rates again to slow down the demand. This is what we know. 1, the Feds increase interest rates to offset inflation, which often causes panic which then results in a recession, releasing the pressure. 2, typically they overshoot with increases and then take a much slower approach when dropping them. A bit like watching a slinky roll down the stairs. It will be a slow and steady decline. Economists do not make this stuff up. They certainly do not guess at it. They look closely at the bond markets, the spreads and the yields, and all indicators are rates are coming back down. If it's not a question of it, and it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Whether you agree or not, we have likely seen the end of the interest rate increases for this cycle, with rates expected to fall by the late 2023 or early 2024. I can also tell you firsthand, inventory is the number one reason why sales are down. Number 3, opportunity. This market is screaming with opportunity. My buyers are looking at homes. Some of them are looking at homes that have been sitting on the market for 30 days plus. Why? Because we know that buying a home is not a process of selection. It is a process of elimination. There is no perfect home. We know that sellers are paying attention to the same media that everyone else is, and that the sky is falling, so they are feeling panicked. We know that finding value is possible in this market. We've got no bidding wars sometimes. We are getting back to conditional offers. We have the ability to negotiate. So is it really more difficult to buy a home than before? Well, it depends on where we're looking and who you're looking with and what are you looking for, and most important, what your expectations are and are they realistic. For the first time in history, the millennial and the Gen Z demographic have now surpassed the boomers, representing over 42% of the population. And what do you think their number one goal is in life? To own a home. And what about our sellers? For the first time in history, sellers are staying in their home because they are married to their rate. They don't want to upsize because they think they're going to lose their amazing rate. Well, they're not really going to lose anything. You port and you blend. You rent the rate. Sure, lock it in for a year or 18 months, but take advantage of finding value while the prices are more stable. If you can afford to hold on until 2024, go ahead, but remember you will be paying much more for your next home. Price your home appropriately for this market. Make sure it's show ready and looking like a wow factor. And in short, don't look at your feet. Look forward and up. Sure, it's raining outside sometimes, but just put on a rain jacket. Focus on the weather pattern and not the weather. I think you will see the future is bright with a lot of sunshine. However, you have to believe it to see it. I want to thank you for your time and attention. I encourage you to reach out with any questions that you might have.